So in the intelligence apparatus, do they pay attention to stuff as it pops up, or are they trying to literally look at unlimited options and see where the threats are coming from?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I was going to be cynical and simplistic, I'd say, look, they always game for the last attack, right? So remember when truck bombs were the thing, right? And all of a sudden there were bollards up in front of every federal building and any building of consequence. Well, that'll stop the attacks. Well, they had already moved on to the next potential scenario. I mean, the bad guys for how to conduct an attack. The reality is there's some of that, right? They were always kind of looking back a little bit and saying, well, how do we defend against that, which has already happened? But there's also a lot of hard work being done by very good people who are trying to figure out what does that next attack look like? What's the potential scenarios that the terrorists or others are thinking about, or state-sponsored hostile actors are thinking about? So it's a combination of the two, and we've gotten better at it. Because if you had asked me that question 25 years ago, I would have said, no, it's always backwards looking, right? We're always defending against whatever happened last. But we have gotten much better at looking at it and trying to understand, I don't want to say creativity of the terrorists, because that may give them more credit. They're just always looking to figure out how to beat the system.
Yeah, it's like water looking for the path of least resistance.
Right.
I feel like we need to spearhead a new entity in somewhere underneath the intelligence umbrella, where we basically recruit for psychopaths who only think about ways to destroy this country. We lock them up and feed them bananas or whatever, but their whole job is to come with off the wall ideas so we can at least look at this, because normal people don't often think about this type of stuff.
Wait a minute, did you say hire psychopaths and lock them up and feed them bananas? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, we can give them like
your sentence.
Yeah. I mean, we like protein too. I don't know. I don't want to assume what their diet would be as a psycho, but yeah, I mean, normal people don't think about ways, hey, how would I completely undermine the infrastructure of this country? But psychos do. So you almost need to hire some of those people, but then like make sure you know where they are at all fucking times. Like they can't go home.
Right.
So
hence the jail cell and the banana. So
I don't want them to have a potassium deficiency because I want their brain firing.
But I see what you're going at. Yeah. But I think you're right. I mean, that's the reason why you hire hackers, to work on the, sort of like, red team attacks and other things that you look at in the cyber security world. You want people testing your systems who have proven track record of attacking systems, right? That just kind of makes very good sense. So you're absolutely right. You've got to have a certain level of, it's the old, you got to think like your enemy. That is very tough in the world of terrorism because, I guarantee you, people like us, we can't really put ourselves in the mindset of somebody from ISIS, right? We just don't understand that.
Yeah.
That lack of regard for anything. So it can be difficult, but your points are good. It's a very tough thing to do, is to understand your enemy when your enemy is a fundamentalist.
Yeah, you don't want the red cell guy to be so good that you need to put him under surveillance from your own organization. Like, you're actually really good at this, and we don't trust you anymore. So now you're eating bananas in the, in the basement. So
it's right.
What of all the terrorist attacks in recent history, call it the last 50 years, is there any particular, whether it would be the aggro or a physical attack or an infrastructure attack, whether it be a water grid, water power grid, and that, what keeps you up at night the most? Is there any one particular thing that visits you in your nightmares about what's the most dangerous to this country?
Yeah, I think it is the infrastructure, right? I don't sit around worrying about, duck and cover because the Russians will fire a nuke, right? I mean, I think it's, and the Chinese regime, they're logical actors. So I'm not worried that they're going to, send 1 million troops in, towards Taiwan, and that somehow we're going to then send our forces there to, meet them boots on the ground. But I do worry about, some sort of asymmetrical attack on infrastructure. And, there's two parts to that. If we do get into a massive global conflict of some sort, right, and that's going to entail essentially, right, China, not really Russia, they got the GDP of a small EU country when it comes right down to it. And they've got so many problems within their structure exposed now as a result of their 3-year invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Iran is a good example because the Iranian regime is fundamentalist. They're zealots. You know, and again, not the people. You know, God bless the Iranian people. I would love to see them finally say enough's enough, rise up and get themselves a proper government. But the regime in the IRGC, which, you know, will never willingly give up their grip on power and revenue, you know, they're an actor that you have to worry about. They spend a lot of time in cyberspace looking at how to attack infrastructure. But if you imagine the power grid, which was never designed to withstand a terrorist attack, much less a cyber attack, if you imagine that power grid in the U.S., and there's only 3 of them, but say, you know, they have success in taking down the East grid for any period of time, you know what people are like, right?
Yeah.
You know, they'll be fine for a couple of days, but you can't move pharmaceuticals, you can't move cash, you can't move gas, and you can't move food. You know, people, if it's depending on what time of year it is, people are roasting or they're freezing. You know, maybe, you know, your better optimistic side would say, well, people will come together in the time of a crisis like that. I'm not sure I'm in that camp. Things
Yeah.
might fall apart pretty quickly.
The quote is, I think it's 9 meals from chaos, you know, essentially,
Yeah.
essentially 72 to 96 hours from the wheels coming off the bus. And I don't want to be there for that bus going over sideways.
Yeah. Well, we're in Idaho. We can go up to the mountains and, you know, so, you know, that's why, again, we're not preppers by any means.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to be pragmatic and think about what could happen. You know, we used to live in Connecticut. All the utilities are above ground. So anytime it snows or, you know, it rains or the wind blows, power goes out for a couple of weeks, you know, because the state is so poorly run. And, you know, after a few days, you know, you're getting fist fights and, you know, gas station with people trying to get a little gas or go to Home Depot and get themselves a generator. So it's interesting. It's interesting times. But I think that's the one